Hi, my name is Jonathan Sherman. I'm a marriage and family therapist, relationship strategist, and speaker. And today we are going to do a reaction video on Pink's family portrait. I find this to be a really good song with a pretty painful, soulful message, but an important message that really acts as a cautionary tale that helps us learn from hopefully our other people's experiences like hers, or from our own painful experiences if you had difficulty in your own family growing up. Certainly to learn, part of my mission as a family therapist is to help people learn from the successes and difficulties of other families so that we don't have to recreate everything on our own. And so a little bit of my background in relation to a video like this on family conflict and the impact that family conflict has is that for 25 years I've been a marriage and family therapist, mental health specialist, and addiction recovery specialist. And for 11 of those years, I taught the state-mandated shared parenting course for divorcing parents and worked with many kids going through divorce and many families going through divorce and all the family conflict that can go around that. And of course, certainly that precedes that, oftentimes for years as well. And then also for 10 years, I was a youth substance abuse coordinator for a mental health agency and worked with all the kids and parents, teenagers going through those programs, and then also in a lot of different settings where I've dealt with domestic violence treatment and other types of issues. So anyway, just a little bit of my background as I'm making a little commentary here and there. I definitely recommend watching this video in its entirety, the song without the commentary, just so you can really get into the flow of the song and really enjoy it on its own merits. So hopefully there may be a few things that are useful in this reaction video. So it's a bit of a heavy video content-wise, but I think it also helps us. One of the ways that we build strong families is by learning from the mistakes and the successes of other families. And so I think Pink did an exemplary job of really communicating what so many of the kids that I work with in counseling have expressed to me and many of my colleagues. And I'm assuming if you're a parent or maybe a future parent, that assuming that you love your kids at least as much as I love mine, which is a whole heck of a lot, and I know we worry about doing right by them. So this is not to tear anybody down by any means, but hopefully act as something that can inspire us to learn better ways of doing things. And okay, all right, we'll just jump right into it.
Stop crying, I can't stand the sound. Your pain is painful and it's staring me down. I hear grass is breaking as I sit up in my bed. I told God you didn't mean those nasty things you said.
Kids really get caught in the middle of this type of parental conflict. They lie in bed, they hear the glasses breaking, they hear the name calling, the shout. Sometimes it turns to physical violence, and kids are so powerless in there. And so I told Dad, you didn't mean those nasty words you said. The kid is already starting to take responsibility for managing what they don't have the power to manage. They need the adults to be adults. Kids feel so torn apart. One of the most common pictures that we as therapists who work with children see as we do art therapy and draw pictures with them is we see them draw pictures. A classic picture is of mom's on this side and dad's on this side and the kid's in the middle. And it shows the kids with its arms being pulled by each parent and the kid kind of ripping in two, feeling that caught in the middle, ripped apart. Kids are oftentimes taking that responsibility, which just isn't theirs to take, but they don't know what else to do, so they start trying to intervene. And it's a really no-win situation for a child.
You fight about money, about me and my brother, and this I come home to. This is my shelter. It ain't easy going from World War III. Never know what love could be.
Can we work it out? Oh, gosh, I tell you, kids ask the best questions. Can't we work it out? It seems like such an obvious solution, right? Mom, Dad, there's bigger things going on. Work it out. Grow up is what a kid's saying. We say to kids all the time, grow up. Why don't you just grow up? The kids are saying to us, grow up. Own your crap. It's okay if you don't know how to handle conflict. If you didn't grow up with good communication or good emotion management, or you have anger issues, the truth is that's all okay. That's part of being human. But if you don't know how to do it, go learn. There are so many great videos online, so many great classes, so many great therapists out there, counselors, teachers, supports. Reach out. Don't do it on your own anymore. But don't make the kid be the one to say, can't we work it out? We need to be taking that responsibility. We need to be owning that, okay? And then the other part that she says here, I promise I'll be better. I'll do anything. One of the universals among teens and kids is somewhere, so many of them feel that the divorce or the conflict is happening because of them. There's something that they're doing wrong. I promise I'll be better. It's not on the kid to do that. Kids need to know it's not their fault, but it's almost universal. So many of them feel that the conflict or the divorce is their fault or partly their fault, or that they could have done something maybe to somehow be better, to reduce that conflict and somehow make this all go away. We've got to protect them from that. We've got to find a way to do better. We do, as the adults. We do.
Can we work it out? Can we be a family? Promise I'll be better. Daddy, please don't leave. Daddy, please stop yelling. I can't stand the sound. Make Mama stop crying, 'cause I need you around.
Can't stand the sound. See, the boy, I'll tell you, in her performance there, the anger and the hurt is still there. Yeah. And in the anger, yet still the I need you around. Boy, kids need their moms. They need their dads. They need both. They need to know that they can love both. One of the things that we talked about in divorce parenting a lot was, how do we, in our own conflict with our partners, our ex-spouses, or soon-to-be ex-spouses, how do we protect the child's relationship with the other parent? I might hate my ex or my soon-to-be ex, but my child knows mom is half me, dad is half me. And when you badmouth my mom, you badmouth me. When you badmouth my dad, you badmouth me. Kids need to know that as much as you're having difficulty with each other, that you can still treat each other with the respect that their parent deserves. I always kind of talked about the playground rule with my clients. Where I grew up, the playground rule was this simple, probably similar where you grew up, is I can badmouth my mama, but you can't badmouth my mama, because if you do, I'm going to pop you. And because I know all the things that are good and bad about my mom, but you don't have that right to criticize, right? We need to protect our parents' names in front of our children. They already feel caught in the middle enough. Okay.
My mama, she loves you. I know. No matter what she says is true. I know that she hurts you, but remember, I love you too. I ran away today, ran from the noise, ran away. Don't wanna go back to that place, but don't have no choice, no way.
I don't want to go back to that place, but I don't have no choice, no way. Again, that feeling of feeling stuck and powerlessness. Yeah.
It ain't easy growing up from World War III. Never knowing what love could be, but I've seen. I don't want love to destroy me like it did my family.
Don't know what. I just lost the line she said there, but something about not having seen. Don't know what love is. Don't know what I've seen. From what I've seen. This is a really important point. This is a big point why I do the education that I do, like my Building Strong Families course. and so many of the other workshops that I do. It's and why I put so much of my own relationship online, not because we have the relationship, but it's one example of a strong family. People need models. They need to see what it actually looks like, because this is what a lot of people, a lot of kids and teenagers are growing up in, and this is their model for what marriage and parenting and family life and emotion management looks like. And quite frankly, when it comes to us as learning creatures, it's monkey see, monkey do. So we have to see other models. We have to know that there's another way of doing relationships, mental health, conflict, that there is a way to build a strong marriage, a strong family, healthy relationships. We need to be able to see it. The whole disruption of the family unit. Now, my parents divorced when I was young. Some divorces really need to happen. That's a whole nother story. The reason why I'm a therapist, at least one of the reasons for my background. And some divorces just necessarily need to happen because some bad stuff is happening. But there's 66 of all the divorces that do happen could be prevented. That's 2/3. Think of that. 2/3 of divorces could be prevented, and kids not have to go through this stuff. And the way that we prevent divorce is through two things. Education. What do we need to know that we just don't know? We don't teach this stuff in society and relationships, and in society and culture. We just don't teach it. And so we need to learn it. So at some point we need to learn it, right? And then the second thing, education is the first thing. Second thing is intervention. How do we take that knowledge and apply it with my personality, your personality, our strength, my strengths, your strengths, our situation? How do we put that into real practice? That's what we're looking for. And that's not easy to do. So it's understandable. But the good news is that 2/3 of divorces could be prevented. Man, we got to get moving. Okay? Please take workshops and courses and read books together. Read them, please. In our family portrait, we look pretty happy. We look pretty normal. Let's play pretend. Let's go back to that. I don't expect any family to be perfectly happy like they are in their family portrait or as they portray themselves online. We've got a pretty happy family, and we've also had our conflicts. We've had our difficulties. We've had our struggles. Just because you're the family therapist doesn't mean you have all the answers. We still have to just be... My wife and I, we still had to just figure out our own issues as we were also parenting and helping our kids figure out their issues. And sometimes we succeeded and sometimes we didn't in every area. But we just recently took family portraits again. And it was nice to see, all our kids are adult kids now, and it was nice to see the playfulness and the silliness among the siblings and between the parents and whatnot. And there's a full awareness that we've had difficulties throughout our family growing up. It wasn't that we had it all perfect or nailed down. We certainly didn't. And some of our kids threw us for some loops, and I'm sure we threw them for some loops because we tried to resolve our own stuff from our own families growing up. And my wife and I resolved a lot of our own stuff growing up, but we also other stuff came up that that got through, that we didn't know how much it would affect us as we became parents and partners. And so things like that would continue to come up, just like in your families too. So, but I always, as I've thought about this video and this song over the years, is that I want to make sure that when my kids look at the family portrait, that they're not just looking at pretend happiness, that just some outer shell. I want to make sure that they can look at that and go, yeah, that's a real family. And we are really happy as a family. And we've also had real struggles and hurts and forgivenesses as well. I want that represented in that family portrait. And when they look at it, but I want them to see some congruence, right? Not that this is just a pretend thing that we have on the wall. I want them to know that they really are loved, and that they saw parents and spouses who loved each other and learned how to become better people as adults, and watch the adults grow up as well, not just ask the kids to grow up. Okay.
So much better. I'll tell my brother I won't spill the milk at dinner. I'll be so much better. I'll do everything right. I'll be a little girl forever. I'm gonna stay the night.
Yeah, I swore my kids wouldn't know that. I made sure I worked really hard on my individual self and in my marriage and in my parenting, learning everything I could, making mistakes along the way. Learning everything I could doesn't mean I learned it all. I didn't. But willing to keep learning and willing to keep trying, because I wasn't going to let my little girl have that experience of not having her dad around, or my little boys. Not going to happen. I remember one time when the kids were little, my wife and I actually were having a pretty good bad fight. Nothing that you'd be proud of. This family therapist say, "Oh yeah, I really want to go talk to him about my marital conflict," because that example would have totally sucked. And but afterwards, and that has a lot to do with my wife coming from a totally different background and me coming from a totally different background. We love each other dearly, but we learned different conflict styles growing up, and it was a lot of oil and water. It took us a while to really figure that out with each other. But after one of those conflicts, I went into a talk with my daughter. I can't remember how old she was, maybe 6 or something. And I said, "Honey, I'm sorry you had to hear that, and I apologize." And she said, I hate it when you and Mom fight. And I said, "I know, honey, I'm so sorry." And I said, "Why? What don't you like about it besides the obvious?" And she said, "I'm just afraid you and Mom are going to get a divorce." And I'm like, oh. I had no idea that my daughter had that fear and thought in her mind. But I told her, I said, "Oh, honey, you don't ever have to worry about that. Mom and I obviously don't like each other a lot right now, but divorce isn't going to happen. I want you to think about other fights that we've had. What happens after those fights? Do we make up? Are we nicer to each other? Do we have less fights than we used to? Yeah. do we also show a lot of love to each other and try to do better? And I said, I'm going to keep trying to do better, and your mom's going to keep trying to do better. And that was a promise to her, and also part of my wife's and my promise to each other that divorce wasn't an option. We were going to figure it out one way or the other. So the fights were fights, but and improvement was not optional. We had to make improvement happen, and divorce was not optional, and that was not going to happen. But it broke my heart that my daughter felt that way. But also, I was glad that I could give her reassurance. And we're almost married 30 years, and our kids are adults, and they didn't have to experience that divorce conflict that a lot of people go through, and that was not easy to always figure out how to navigate those conflicts, but there are ways to navigate them. And so that's what a lot of the courses I teach are all about, like the Building Strong Families course is a good introduction to all of this. And this video actually will be part of the creative coping and problem solving part of Building Strong Families with ACCCTS. That's the second T, creative coping and problem solving. And so this is just one of the pieces that I'll have tied into that program. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I'd love to hear your comments and suggestions and either ways that things you've learned from how to avoid conflict or not avoid it so much but handle it more effectively. What you've learned to do better if you had a hard childhood growing up, what you've learned to do better to break that chain and pass something down better for your family, for yourself, or what you've learned from others. I think all of that's valuable for us to all learn from each other in the comments and to share with one another and to learn together. All right? So peace, love, and happiness, babies. Good luck. We can all figure this out together. All right. Bye-bye.